With everything going on with Sweet Baby Inc. and the backlash against pushing agendas, pushing messages, political propaganda into games, I was curious if the industry would double down or if we might see some changes. And I feel like I'm in bizarro world because could it be that EA, Electronic Arts, could they be the first ones to actually make some good decisions around this and make sure they build gaming teams, dev teams that are actually just full of people who are competent at their jobs? It's not all just full of diversity hires, people who shouldn't really be there if it was all based on merit. Now, just like everyone else, I despise EA. They've ruined a whole bunch of series. They've stuffed up things like the Star Wars license for the most part. There's been a handful of alright games, but they could have done so much more. They've closed down a whole bunch of studios that I really like many years ago, like I believe Westwood Studios, I think it is, who made Command and Conquer, heaps of other good titles. So this is not me defending EA, but I will give them some credit because it seems like something is happening. And what I'm referring to is in this tweet, a former employee of EA as of a few days ago, they mentioned that EA has destroyed Respawn today. Fuck 'em, they say. And they do quote an article from a couple of weeks ago where EA laid off 670 employees. But it seems like EA's layoffs are ongoing. More people are getting let go. But what's kind of coming out is it may be that all the diversity hires are the ones getting the flick. They're basically just moving on all of the people, firing all the individuals who shouldn't really be there. They might be in, say, diversity officer roles, or they're in writing roles, and their job is to basically Sweet Baby Ink up all of these games, the stories, the characters. These people would be getting out the magnifying glass, looking around going, is there any white male characters in here? They all gotta go, this is oppressive. All that sort of stuff. It seems like all the non-real game developer roles are going. If you can't program, if you can't design levels, all of that sort of stuff, if you're not integral, you're getting the boot. And we don't care if you were only hired because you ticked a box. We've had enough of that. The gaming industry is in trouble. We can't afford to just pander to morons who should not be in the industry at all. And the only reason they're here is to use video games as a vehicle to push their own agendas. Propaganda, essentially. So obviously EA haven't come out and said this officially. They haven't made an announcement and said, hey, anyone who's got pronouns in their bio on X, on LinkedIn or something, you're getting the flick. They obviously can't do that. That might look bad. However, some of the people who've been laid off have started to get very upset, like this person, Yona Bex. Now, if we have a look at Yona Bex, and we look at their bio on Twitter, so again, this is someone who worked at EA and was recently fired. And they describe themselves as a disabled, queer, polyamorous parent, sometimes archivist and lawkeeper, ex-theatre techie, Cuban adoptee, Jewish Brugie, fluent in show tunes and snark. So basically everything that you would want in a model employee. This person has it all. And I've got to say seriously that it is nice that these people just give it to you all up front. They don't come at you pretending to be normal and you think, yeah, this person seems kind of cool, and then 6 months later you realize that they're crazy and you've let them into your life. This person at least comes out and just says, I'm insane. So if you give this person a chance, they're not being subtle at all. It is your own fault. But she, or whatever they are, they've said a number of things, such as, all my favourite people were laid off from Respawn today. And all the assholes that made my life hell are still there. Life is so fucking unfair. Now, I'm not sort of calling for people to lose their jobs necessarily. It's not about that. It's REA finally making some decent decisions. Is the AAA industry going, you know what? We can't just hire people based on ticking boxes, ESG, to maybe get funding from the BlackRocks of the world. The industry, to sustain itself, needs actual talented individuals who are here to make a fun game. If a developer is not motivated by making fun games, and instead their primary thought process is just, how can I push propaganda onto people? How can I take over the industry and make people think how I think? We can't have any white people here. It's got to be all of us. It seems like that EA understand why they're losing money, because gamers are sick of this nonsense and they're only interested in playing games that are fun. AAA isn't enough. We're not going to buy a game because it's flashy and you put out a bunch of marketing for it. Gamers will see through that now, and they'll actually get more into indie games. They might sell better, even if, say, Baldur's Gate 3, nice graphics, but I wouldn't call the presentation as huge as, like, one of Sony's AAA games, or even one of the bigger EA games. But Baldur's Gate 3 is absolutely fun, and that's what drew people in. EA are probably realizing now it's got to be about quality design, and if we're just pushing in a bunch of diversity nonsense, then people are just going to move on. They're going to ignore you. They're not going to care. They might not be angry. They'll just have apathy. They'll just stop caring about anything that EA put out. And this person is saying, my favorite people were laid off. Now, looking at this person and how crazy they sound, if anyone that they were friends with and they liked was also let go, it doesn't sound like that would be a bad thing for Respawn's games. And anyone that this person doesn't like, I'm going to assume that they're probably a normal individual who probably have the right priorities. Sure, there might be genuine assholes who work at EA. I mean, that's pretty obvious. But I also think that someone with this mindset, this Yona person, probably assumes anyone who's just knuckling down trying to do their job properly. She probably hates those sort of people because they put pressure on her to actually do some work and stop spending 24/7 on Twitter, pushing propaganda and not actually adding something productive to the games that you're meant to be working on. And this continues, she says, the majority of layoffs at Respawn are people of color, queer folks, and those who recently took medical or parental leave. The privileged folks got to stay. Now, I don't live in America, so I don't really know what the laws are around medical or parental leave. Now, I won't say anything about parental leave. I mean, that's obviously pretty nuanced. But medical, I am going to question it when it is this person. Now, if you've had someone who's worked at a company for a decent period of time, they're a necessity, and then something happens on the job, they get injured or something like that, I think it would make sense to try and help them as best that you can. But I can guarantee you that this is someone who would try and take 3 months off, probably even try and get paid for it if possible, because they're feeling depressed or they're finding it hard to go to work or something like that. And they will count that as medical leave exactly in the same way as if someone broke their leg or something and were having difficulties. So I don't trust that this person says medical leave. I'd want to be seeing what these medical issues actually are. And again, they mentioned people of color, queer folks. A lot of those people have been let go. Now, let's be brutally honest. A lot of those people were probably only given their job because they ticked a box. And they probably shouldn't be there. A lot of these people are also not in core development roles. If you remove them, the game's still fine. You might have 1 or 2 less HR managers that are probably spending all day dealing with your shit because you're making a complaint about anyone who rolls their eyes at you because they had to deal with you, basically. And she continues, Respawn prides itself on its diverse representation. How could they do this? Reality check, they don't give a fuck about that. For whatever reason, they were pushing it, and what a lot of people say is because this allows them to get ESG funding from some very big organizations who dish out cash and make it cheaper, essentially, to make your games. And now some of that cash is drying up. Money isn't being dished out because of ESG, diversity, DEI, whatever it might be. And now they're sort of saying, hey, the video game industry, it's shrinking a little bit. We're not making as much money, so we need to get back to basics. Make good games. We can't be hiring people not based on merit because of other weird reasons. And that's it. Unfortunately, you're going to lose your job because you are insane and you're adding zero value here. Goodbye, see you later, don't let the door hit you on the way out. That seems to be what's happening. And I'm sure some people who were competent lost their jobs. But I've got to say, whenever I play a game and it sucks, and then I look at the credits and I see like the team photo that the studio puts up, I just look at the people who work there and I see the amount of pink hair, blue hair, regardless of gender, they've all got it. And I just kind of think, I shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but I see these people and I just think they're not capable of making something that I'm probably going to enjoy. And then I look at the teams who made, say, the original Fallout or Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and I think there's a group of nerds who I know sat up all night making the game out of passion. They wanted to do it. These people, they are not working on the game all day. They probably spend 10 minutes doing actual work. The rest of it is making HR complaints, writing out a bunch of crap that they put on social media, just whinging. They're victims, everyone's out to get them. And they just treat working on games like they would any other job. They don't care about the industry. They don't even really care about their wider team unless those team members are also ticking the same diversity boxes. They're just whingers, basically. And to see EA presumably move them on, this isn't 100% confirmed. This person is really going off here, so it sounds like something is going on. I hope it's true. I hope it comes out that EA are consolidating, because I think it's fine. These ballooning organizations, these ballooning studios, I don't think it's a good thing. Some people think that if you hire more people, games get made faster, but there's no evidence of that, and it is the same in a lot of other industries. I like to see it grow a bit smaller, so maybe teams can talk more, work together in tandem a bit more, and make something better that doesn't have a huge budget, which means they can't take risks. And again, it's not saying, oh, I want everyone to get fired and lose their jobs and lose their well-being and everything. I think these are kind of two separate issues. My interest in the industry being better is one thing. People losing their jobs is another. I hope these people, maybe they can find other work somewhere else. Just not somewhere where I have to deal with them and deal with any of their creations. Go somewhere else. That'll be fine. I want to end on this because if you had any doubts at the person making those tweets, if you were sort of thinking, oh, maybe they're okay, maybe it's a sad thing that they were let go and the industry's worse off for it. Well, I'm going to read you this because this might make you do a rethink. So this blue-haired person, I wasn't kidding when I was talking about blue, pink-haired people. This is the person from the tweet. They always seem to have like an anime or cartoon photo. They hide their real face, and then when you see it, it's sort of... Oh. But what they say here is, this is presumably from a tweet or some sort of message, but it is from the same person. They say, my team was responsible for putting newsletters up in the restrooms. One day, no women from the team were in the office, and the men in the team asked me to hang the newsletters in the women's restrooms since I blended in and it wasn't much different. Now, if you look at this person, you might ask yourself, is this a he who's turned into a she? Why are they upset about this? Well, apparently they actually are a she, or they were born as one, but they're non-binary. So to ask them to go into the women's restroom and to imply that this person is kind of like a woman because they were born as one and now they're parading around saying that they're not a gender, to do that, the audacity of that, was so upsetting to this person that they then said this. I did this. I put the newsletters up in the women's restrooms, and then I immediately went home and fell into a deep dysphoric spiral. I made sure to never be in the office when newsletters were distributed again. And as this person who posted this says, this person, they sound like a well-rounded individual. Were EA doing anything wrong by terminating this person as well as all their friends, everyone liked them? Not for me to say. However, it seems like EA might actually be making some decent decisions for once. Hopefully we see more of this in the industry. Just overall, the idea that the people working on the games actually want to be there, they want to make games, their passion is to make great games, not push propaganda. Maybe we'll start to see some decent stuff from AAA developers once again. Probably wishful thinking, but this is a decent start. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.